His show is great.
Yep.
Listen to his show.
Absolutely, 95.5.
He got it.
I'm happy we chose to fly. I'm happy that life didn't clip our wings. Together we rule the skies. Together just you.
You had just fathered a child 2 months before by a woman that was not your wife. I am shocked that you would stand here and say you're completely cleared. Can you so casually cheat on a second wife and cheat on the mother of a child that had been born 2 months before, and you tell us you are completely cleared?
I have read multiple reports of your regularly being drunk at work, including by people who worked with you at Fox News. Do you know that being drunk at work is prohibited for service members under the UCMJ?
I would consult with the president about what the policy is.
In other words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
Have you led an audit of any organization? Yes or no? I don't want a long answer. Yes or no? Have you led an audit of any organization of which you were in charge?
Questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary of Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. The senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No, but it's for show.
It's for show, ladies and gentlemen. My new hero, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. Woo! It's for show. Shelley Winter Show live, local, topical, and relevant. Welcome to Tuesday. Woo! What a day. Let me tell you, I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's because I do this for a living. I talk on the radio, so I want to watch everything newsworthy. But I was captured by today's hearing for Pete Hegseth. So let me tell you everything. Let me empty my brain about what I think about Pete Hegseth. It wouldn't have been my choice for Secretary of Defense, first of all. It would not have been my choice, right? However, if I were a senator, a Republican senator, on that committee, I'd be voting for him. But, however, that being said, he would get my vote. But I'd have questions. I wouldn't have asked the questions like Tammy Duckworth. I wouldn't have been yelling at the guy the whole time. I wouldn't accuse the guy of beating his wife. I wouldn't have done what the Democrats did, but I would have asked questions. And one of the most important questions I think I would have asked came from Democrat Senator Gary Peters. He said, hey, have you ever run an organization somewhat like this before? And that's a fair question. If I was sitting down, Senator Peters said, what board would hire a CEO that's never run an organization even close to being this size? It's a fair question. Fair question. And to Pete Hegseth's credit, he said, no, I haven't, but I do know what to do. He handled the question very well. But I would vote for Hegseth, right? Because he's a change agent. And I want that. This whole election from 2016, 2020, 2024 has been about changing the status quo at every level. This is why, I have questions about him, right? And I don't want the same old. I don't want another Milley. I don't want these guys again. I want someone totally outside the system, which is why I would vote for him. But I would still have questions, but I would still vote for him. Now, I'm hearing a lot of people who like him but don't like some of the other picks. All the picks are outside the status quo. That's why I've liked Donald Trump since 2016. He's not the status quo. And that's why these picks I like, because they're coming in like bulls in a china shop, smash everything, and start all over. That's what we voted for. Now, I do want to say something, and I'll probably talk about it later on. I'll talk about it later on in the show. I'll bring up RFK Jr. I want to talk about that, but that's later on. But let's stay on Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth. There was one clip where Kristen Gillibrand, and by the way, ladies, I just want to talk to women here, all right? And this may come across as sexist. Please excuse me if it does. I don't intend for it to come across as sexist, but it may sound that way. When we're talking about women in corporate America, or women in the armed forces, or women just equal treatment, which I'm totally for, right? Everyone should be treated the same, right? Everyone should be given the same opportunities to advance in whatever situation you're in, whether it's landscaper, dog catcher, president, whatever, right? But women, you can't behave in an unhinged fashion and then say, don't treat me differently. Like, you can't get up there yelling and screaming, wagging your fingers, looking like our moms or our wives in many cases, and then say, you need to treat me the same way. Well, no. If you act like a Karen, I'm going to call you a Karen. And all of those women, Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, Tammy Duckworth, Hirono, they all came across as Karens. And listen, I'm not saying that because they were women. I'm saying that because of their attitudes and the way in which they conducted themselves today. If anything, they made the case for Pete Hegseth. If anything, these women's attacks on him, these women, their attacks on him made his case. I know it sounds sexist and I don't want to sound this way, but even Tim Kaine, as vicious and sluggish as he was, and slug-like he was, it still was, it was just mean-spirited, but he wasn't yelling at the guy. He was accusing the guy. He was saying, you beat your woman. You cheated on your wife with the baby and all this stuff. Yeah, I get that. But it didn't rub me the wrong way. Yelling at a guy as a nominee for Secretary of Defense and wagging your fingers at him and yelling at him and cutting him off before he can answer a question, it made it all, for every man watching that today, it took us back to either being yelled at by our moms, nagged by our spouses. In some way, it was a negative connotation. It was like, the girls go being the girls. And I know that was sexist. And again, I don't mean it to be. But it just came across like, if you want to be treated equally, you kind of got to act equal. You kind of got to act not stereotypical. You can't. And maybe that's sexist. I don't mean it to be. Again, I'm going to keep saying that. I don't mean it to be. And it may come across as such, but I don't mean it to be. But you got to understand, if you're yelling at a guy on a Senate confirmation hearing as a woman, you come across as a nag. You come across as a Karen. And none of us like those people. None of us. And so you just really got this guy confirmed. And I don't think he had any problems of being confirmed, but you really made the case for him. And as for moms being combat soldiers, I could tell you right now, mom could go through SEAL training. Mom could be a ranger. Mom could be special forces. Heck, mom could be the greatest sniper in the history of sniping. But you know what? I know every child, especially boys, don't want to have a mom that's a current active Navy SEAL. I know it for a fact, because daughters definitely don't want daddy going across seas and putting their lives on the line. So yeah, you want to be a combat soldier as a woman? I'm all for it. Do it. Thank you for your service. But once you become a mom, I'm sorry, I got to say it this way, but I kind of want you to stay home and protect the cubs in the house. Not because it just makes more sense. So I get Pete Hegseth. I get everything he's talking about. And I wasn't a fan like I said, I would still vote for him. But the reaction and the treatment that he got from the ladies on that panel today said to me, yeah, give him the job. But keep an eye on him. Shelley Winter Show, 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk. Coming up next, we've got guests back to back to back. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones joins us next about the Senate priorities in the State House. Then Marcy McCarthy, DeKalb County GOP, joins us to talk about the state election board and why we need Janelle King, recertified to be on that board. And then at 7:48, Tony West of Americans for Prosperity joins us to tell us what their priorities are for the session this year. And then we go back to the commentaries. Shelley Winter Show, we're locked and loaded, my friends. 404-872-0750, 1-800 what? WSB Talk.